customers, and those would be the knock-on effects.
I really wish Voyager had been heavily invested in Solana, Thomas.
Well, I think
And now,
Voyager has a claim against FTX, so once the customers are made full, they would start be looking for their own recovery. So it could end up flowing through the other estates as well.
yeah, FTX, it's pretty incredible how the creditors are seeing the benefit of sort of the delay, right? Because the ones that move faster were selling their assets into a much more aggressive bear market. And now, if things continue up, to your point, it could make everybody whole in these other cases, in these other bankruptcies, which is pretty incredible. Because you and I,
I'd like to
obviously, we've
say,
talked quite. Yeah.
I was going to say, yesterday there was 1.6, or maybe it was 2 days ago, or like 36 hours, something like that. 1.6 million SOL was unlocked by FTX, and price went up like 12% because motherfuckers are just buying it at this point. Look, it's nickels and dimes compared to entities like we've got BlackRock trying to file for this ETF, right? And think about what their company is in like retrospect to all these other like companies, how many assets they have under control. So people who've got billions or hundreds of millions, even buying a few thousand SOL, that's a pretty safe investment for them right here. Versus because think about, you get 1,500 SOL for the price of like 2 Bitcoin, right? Or 1,600 SOL for the price of 2 Bitcoin.
Yeah, but how is that relevant? You can buy fractionalized Bitcoin. That makes no sense. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying that people who have invested in cryptocurrencies like ETH and Bitcoin, it would make sense if they took a very small fraction and decided to buy into Solana when there's
Yeah, when they start thinking that's the top.
Chris. I'd say as soon as people will have to be able to take out some of their Bitcoin and put it into their Solana. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm crossing. Let me go sell my leverage Solanas. Give me 2 seconds, Chris. Scott, you take over. I gotta sell my leverage Solana that I bought 2 minutes ago.
He's now shorted it with 400
leverage. Can you teach me how to short, Scott, please, if you don't mind?
Also a top signal, by the way. When someone who says, he's joking, obviously, if someone says, "Teach me how to short," oh my god. Well, maybe that's actually bottom. It's going to just run.
Do you mind if I ask quickly for the latest with FTX? Obviously, I haven't been keeping up, so it's kind of a recap, and the audience. I don't know if the audience might like it, but I'm curious.
I think
what's the latest with Sam?
Thomas, can you do that? Yeah, Thomas, can you do that?
Say, what was the question?
What's the latest with FTX?
The claims market or the bankruptcy estate? I mean, not a lot has changed in the bankruptcy estate. I mean, they did, of course, put out the term sheet, and there's a lot of little tertiary issues that need to be settled on, like how do you value crypto at the date of the petition? Like whose numbers using CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap? What's the index for prices? What about Tron and the Tron prices on FTX were 5x what they were in the general market? How are you going to settle that? In terms of clawbacks, how do you actually calculate the prices? Because it's supposed to be based on when the transfers happen. How you got to dollarize those. So there are a lot of little tertiary issues that I know are being worked through. KYC AML issues, like a lot of creditors are having those issues, and I know the estate and the ad hoc and the UCC are trying to figure out how to come up with a compromise. And we want to have some KYC AML, so we're not oh gosh, hot topic, funding terrorists. But there's no real requirement under the bankruptcy code for there to be KYC AML, so it's kind of like a tricky issue. But not too many updates.
I do. Actually, I've got an update, Scott. I don't know if you guys know this. I didn't know. A few people sent it to me, then I realized. I'm not sure if Rand is here because I think Rand was with me when that happened. Not sure who asked that question, but I came up in the.
I'm here, bro. I'm here.
Yeah, Rand. We came up in our space when we had Sam. You know how we said we got him and it is going to come up in court. It came up in court. Did you know? Did I tell you? You saw it?
I did.
I didn't read it yet. What does it say? Who asked the question?
Crazy.
What was the question? Oh, you guys know. Okay, you know more than me. So
I don't know exactly. What? I mean, a lot of people have commented about it.
Yeah, you also did an interview hosted by someone named Nawfsl. Do you recall that? Sam goes, not specifically, but I'm not saying I didn't. Okay, that's cool. Sam, you gotta do this to me. Isn't it so? Which seemed so soon then walked through the timeline until December 1st. Twitter space in question, which seemed to jog Sam's memory a bit. Isn't it true, yes or no, that you stated on this podcast that you were not involved at all in Alameda trading? Yeah, he fucked up with that one. That you were not involved at all in Alameda trading and hadn't been for years. And then Sam goes, I don't recall what I said. Oh, please don't invite me to this call. It's recorded. I wasn't super involved. Then he says, from a man who sounded a lot like Bankman-Fried, I wasn't super involved in Alameda. I was not involved at all in the trading. So that's what he said in our space. Let me see if that's what he said. Yeah, exactly. I was not involved at all in the trading. I hadn't been for years. I was intentionally not getting involved in it because I was concerned about the conflict of interest after shutting off the tape. So they played the tape. That's your voice, Sam, isn't it? Correct? He's like, it sounds like it. So that's the quote they got him on. I wasn't super involved in Alameda. And then then it continues why that got him into trouble. But I'll read it after the space. But yeah,
But
man, like,
I mean, it's. I mean, I think it's great. But I mean, like, is that something that can incriminate him? What he said on a public podcast? I mean, he's not under oath when he's on the podcast. He can say whatever he wants. I mean, he could say he was, whatever.
no, man. I
They're
think
definitely using it against him. I mean,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Also, the Sorkin interview. Yeah, I mean, whether it is or not, I mean, it's very damning, and I think it reinforces other things they're saying. They basically used everything that he said on that 2-week roadshow where Sam decided he was going to clean up his image by not listening to his lawyers and aggressively
that was
going
the
out
weirdest
talking to anybody who would
roadshow.
listen. I mean, what an absolute dumbass. I mean,
That was the weirdest roadshow.
I really, I was quite skeptical as to whether or not he's going to get jail time. I've been following inner city press with, every day he publishes these amazing updates. And I mean, if Sam doesn't get 40 years plus, then the US justice system is completely broken.
40
I think
years
you had
plus.
skepticism.
Wow.
I think you had skepticism about the U.S. justice system that maybe is slowly being erased. Rand, I mean, is that correct? Because from day one, even me as an American, I was like, this dude is done. He's going away for a very, very long time. And I think a lot of people not in the U.S. fairly looked at what happens here with sort of regulation and legislation and how broken things are. And I think they sort of extrapolated that and assumed that also meant the justice system was broken. But we've seen the justice system just dunk on, the SEC for one, and certainly on him. So I think that, it was fair skepticism. But at this point, man, it would be pretty absurd, as you said, for him not to get absolutely buried under the.
Yeah, and apparently the judge, from what I'm gathering, the judge hasn't been very friendly to SBF. I think the judge has had enough of SBF's bullshit and not being able to answer questions and stuff like that.
What did they say? He said, "I don't know," or something to that effect, 150 or 175 times in the day.
No, I mean, let's just recap here. I mean, is Sam Bankman-Fried a genius, or is he? I mean, we all thought he was a genius, and he did actually manage to build something that was quite incredible. It was quite highly used. How do we feel today? Is the man, is he a genius, or is he just a pathological?
Both.
Yeah,
pathological.
I think a genius, a genius at certain things, and an absolute ignoramus.
No. There's a term that what's his name? Who's the other gentleman that who covers him really closely, and he's the one that came on our space last time. I'm really bad with names. He came on our space last time because he was in jail himself for the hedge fund shenanigans he did. And Matishkreli. Yeah. So Matishkreli used the term. I'm sure you guys will remember it. He used the term to describe him when someone is in that mindset where they think they're above the law, when they think that he genuinely thinks he didn't do anything wrong, and he feels untouchable. Narcissism, but he used another term. I can't remember what it was. So I think he's extremely intelligent, but really got to his head. If anything, crypto got to all of our heads. If you just think of yourself today, back to earth, realistic, etc. Try to remember the days when the market was pumping, you're throwing money around. Most people in crypto thought they were untouchable. And if you put Sam and the achievements he's had, the amount of money he's made, ethically or not, he was at a different level. All the politicians he paid off, etc. So, but the question I have when I go to the markets, and Matthew, I want to ask you one more question if you don't mind. Can't remember who mentioned this. Maybe it was on our space that when Sam does go to jail, if and when he goes to jail, that would be a positive for the market. The market hasn't really priced in a complete cleanup. Right now, we still have the shadow of Sam above us. Everyone still talks about him. FTX is still there. But when he goes to jail, it's that chapter is closed. Could that mean anything?
I don't think that matters. But I did have a question maybe for Tom, about these FTX Solana holdings, which is, it seems like the FTX 2.0 reboot is a legitimate possibility, and that creditors might have to log into like the new FTX in order to claim their assets, and that might result in a lot of these assets being left on the new platform. What's the probability of that?
It depends on what the bids are. And the probability is getting better and better if we're in like a wave right now. So I think it's possible. Haven't really underwritten it. I think early on we were pretty skeptical that was a possibility, but it does appear like it's a possibility. I think that they have a deal with Galaxy to manage the estate. You'd have to go and really look at how that deal works. But yeah, 2.0, if I guess I should say they can basically structure it any way they want. So if a bidder says, I want this, I want that, I'm going to pump in $250 million and I'm going to give my credibility, my licenses to reboot this thing, they could do that. So the debtor has a lot of flexibility to try to maximize value for creditors. So Matthew, to answer,
And John Ray III likes the idea, right?
yeah, I think.
But why would they like it now that? Why would they like it now that they can make everyone whole theoretically with these investments? I mean, I thought the premise of FTX 2.0 was to maximize recovery for creditors. If it's going to be 100% recovery
Well,
potentially, why do they even need
so
to rely on
It's
it?
all about the
Let it
power,
ride.
right? They want to be able to hire the new execs and capture some of the value and have a say in what happens.
I will warn you. So like
I would
we're
say,
talking about 100% recovery, but we're really just talking about customers. There are other silos that are kind of left out in the cold. There's a lot of creditors, like general unsecured creditors, trade creditors left out in the cold. And even if you think of the equity holders of like people that participated or like company that was bought, like I think Blockfolio was bought by FTX and it was paid for in stock. Hold on, I gotta put money in the meter, guys.
I think that not only are the creditors going to be made whole, but I also think that it's almost inevitable that the exchange that we are going to get an FTX 2.0. I mean, from what I understand, the discussions are quite far down the line that there is actually going to be a reboot of this exchange. My question is, what happens to the token holders? Because the token does crazy things. You often see the token like spiking in a day. And I wonder if token holders actually really believe that they're going to reboot up the exchange with the same. I use the word obligation because there's no real obligation to token holders, but the token holders seem to be quite optimistic about it.
I think you're because the recoveries are so high, you are looking at potentially a little bit of a battle royale between like how the stuff is calculated. I mean, under the bankruptcy code, everything's dollarized at the petition date, and that's hard to get around. But you do have equitable arguments for why you shouldn't get the uplift. So if I let's say I have all ETH, and now ETH from petition date to now has gone up a lot, and I'm 100% repay based on dollarized petition date value of Ethereum. I'm like, well, that's kind of shit. Like, I should be getting like the uplift in value. So you are going to have different factions and creditor groups like pop out of the woodwork and potentially like stake claim to higher recoveries. And guys, you do have a lot. I mean, like the Voyager estate's going to have a pretty sizable claim against Sam. I mean, Sam offered to buy Voyager for what is it, 72 cents on the dollar, and then I think the recoveries are now in the 50s.